We're going to do things a little differently this time. Instead of painting one dessert at a time, we're going to paint 3 different types of ice cream at once. We'll paint all of them at the same time and do one detail at a time. We'll wait for the others to dry, which is a very efficient way to use your time when working with watercolor. My first ice cream flavor is vanilla, and since it's white, I'm just going to paint in some light shadows using turquoise. I start by painting a half circle and then a loose and slightly curved shape below it, which is wider than the half circle. I start painting the shadows within. This is similar to the way we did the cookie illustration, and we did the same thing in the warm-up exercise with the slightly curved horizontal white spaces left within. Just be loose and random. While the paint is still wet, I drop in some pink to let it blend on the page into purples. Now let's let that dry and start the second one, which will be a mint chocolate chip flavored. I mix my color, and you can get a similar result by mixing green and blue, with more green in the mix. This time I'm a lot more loose with the shape. Notice how I left white inside again, but the shape is not a perfect circle or anything. It's just a randomly shaped blob. As long as the overall shape is round, it will look good, and like a scoop of ice cream. So don't be scared of mistakes. I drop some turquoise in it to let it mix on the page, and now it's time for the third ice cream. I make the same shape as the first one, but make the shape below the half circle bigger for a slight variation. And because our cone will be wider this time. I add in purplish pink, and since this is going to be cherry flavored, I pick up a concentrated amount of paint with almost no water and drop it in as well. This way the paint will stay dark and not move as far. Now I use a hairdryer on a low setting to dry all of my ice cream. I'm only doing 1 layer, but you can do 2 if you want more dimension and texture. Just be sure not to cover the white parts. I start drying the cone by drawing a slanted straight line, and then I add a curved line from the top of it towards the middle and close it off by connecting it to the bottom line. I draw a second line inside that is symmetrical to the line on the left. If you want to do something simpler, you could just do a simple triangle. To finish off the cone, I simply loosely paint a grid inside of it, which is just a bunch of parallel lines perpendicular to each other. You can make them closer together or further apart. I make sure to change the angle slightly in each part because it's supposed to be a twisted cone. To do this, just vary the angle of your starting line. For the next cone, we're going to start with half a circle and then draw a thin triangle. And again, I draw a grid inside, and this time I drop in a little bit of pink paint in random areas to give it a pop of color. I also outline my first cone in the pink color because it looks a little bland. For the third ice cream, we're going to add a second scoop, and you can use this technique to add a third or even fourth scoop. All you have to do is paint in the same shape but slightly cut off the top part by pretending it's under the top scoop. This flavor is blueberry, so I add in some purple and let it mix on the page again. Now let's finish off our first cone with some sprinkles. This time we'll do little dots or circles. I use dark blue, pink, yellow, but you can use whatever colors you like. I also vary their sizes slightly. Our second ice cream is mint chocolate chip, so I add little brown chocolate chunks with simple random shapes. I keep the spacing random and add little dots like we did for the chocolate chip cookies. For the cherry ice cream, I add in randomly spaced magenta shapes, like little pieces of cherries. Now let's paint the last cone. We start with a rounded rectangle and then another smaller rounded rectangle beneath it. And then 2 straight lines connected by a curved line at the bottom, and we're done. Your lines don't have to be perfectly straight or symmetrical. Mine sure aren't. The imperfections will make it more interesting and alive. I grid it like I did the other cones, and while that's drying, I add in some blueberry chunks by using a dark blue and painting randomly spaced shapes like we did for the cherries. I also drop some blues into the cone to make a slight color variation and to unify the colors more. Everything is now complete, and it's time to add small highlights. I add some white sprinkles in the first ice cream and some highlights on the cone. I do the same for the rest of them. The white dots in the other ice creams don't look like sprinkles, but they do make it look more shiny and cute. A simple polka dot pattern always does that. And if you want to do a cute background, a fun idea is to do one color and put polka dots in it with a white gel pen. The final result is good enough to eat and is full of fun and cuteness because the brush strokes used to make this were imperfect and dynamic, and we let colors mix on the page. Try doing this with your favorite ice cream flavors and get creative with the details and colors.